What's going on, guys? This is Logan here at Vaporleaf. I am here today with the iJoy RDTA Box. This is a dual battery device, can go up to 200 watts, can do temp control, but the special thing about it is the RDTA part. Let's go ahead and dive down and give you a closer look at it. Alright, so on the front of the box here, you got a picture of the device with the color that it came in. A little bit of a texture on the front there as well. A couple little specs up front, and of course the name. A few more specs on the side, and a whole lot of specs on the back. If you pull that sleeve off, you get a pretty plain white box. Nothing much to that. And we can pull the lid off, and we get the device proudly displayed on its own. If we pull the device out of there, what I noticed first off is you did get a little bit of yellow in the box with that yellow paint job. I don't see any scuffing or wear or anything on the paint itself. I don't know why there's yellow scuffing inside of the box there, but I'm not too worried about it. If we pull the foam out of there, we get this hefty trap door to protect all the goodies you get underneath it. Now I'm just going to run through everything you get in here really quick and go into a little bit more depth about it later. You get a micro USB cable, a little bag of cotton, some extra O-ring, and some pretty little coils and some grub nuts. A nice little screwdriver. A dust cap for the RDA. This little cap looks like it's actually to plug where the RDA screws into. Again, we'll look at that in a minute. We get our pre-built deck, if you want to use that one. We get a little brush for cleaning. Now this yellow card here, they do actually have their own tutorial on the device if you want to check that out. We've got our warranty card. And we've got our manual, so certainly no shortage of goodies coming with this device here. So the first thing we're going to take a look at inside of the box is the pre-built deck that you get with it. Now the deck is going to be interchangeable on this device. This one comes with little coils already built on there, and they're already wicked up and everything. You get a little cap to protect the cotton on the bottom. So if you remove that dust cap, you'll see you've got airflow, threads, and the cotton on the bottom. That's going to feed down into the tank in the device. They do have some specs on the side of the coil here. It says 0.15 ohms, 50 to 100 watts, and of course the iJoy logo. Next up are the replacement parts. Now these aren't just replacement parts, of course. You do have a 2-post deck inside of the device that's already installed on there that you can install these coils on and use this cotton to wick those up. These are some nice little fused Claptons. We got some red O-rings that are of course going to be spares, and some extra grub nuts in case you need those. Probably my favorite accessory is the dust cap for the RDA to keep dust out of the top. One reason that I typically don't carry RDAs around everywhere with me is because all the pocket lint and dust and dirt and stuff that can get in there, it gets kind of nasty. Tanks are a little bit better protected from it. The coil isn't exposed as directly to open air. So having something like this is really nice and thoughtful of iJoy to include. One thing I will mention about the dust cap is you probably want to wait until you get a little bit of condensation on the outside of the RDA before you put it on there, because once it's on there, when it's dry, it doesn't really want to come off. It takes a whole lot of doing to get off of there. So it is actually nice to have a little bit of juice between the silicone and the RDA to kind of lube it up a little bit. Now while we've got this up, and I can show you what the next little item is, this little plug here, you can just push that down on top of there. You can kind of feel it pop into place. As far as I can tell, this is mainly for cleaning purposes. If you want to like put some alcohol in the tank and swish it around a bit, something like that. Obviously, since you don't have the RDA on there, there is no use with the device at this point. You'd have to take that cap off and install a new deck. And again, for cleaning purposes, you get this little brush. They're like little nylon strands. It's not like hair. They're actually pretty coarse. Personally, I'm not really sure how you would use this for cleaning, maybe getting inside of the little windows or something, but I don't see how this could help you really clean the tank or anything like that. But I guess it's nice to have it. There's not much to mention about the screwdriver except the size of it. It's not one of those teeny tiny little 2-cent screwdrivers. This is more like a 10-cent screwdriver. It's a lot bigger and a lot easier to use. And lastly, you get the micro USB cable that comes with it. Now, this is a pretty good length of wire, although it is only for firmware upgrades. This is not a charge cable, and that doesn't mean that this cable can't charge anything. It's that the device won't accept a charge through the micro USB port. So just remember, if you get this device, make sure you have a charger for your batteries. So finally we can take a look at the device. You get RDTA Box painted onto the side there. It's pretty good looking. You get these little windows that you can see into your tank, this huge beefy fire button, these little chrome up and down buttons, your micro USB port there, pretty well seated against the body of the device, a nice and sizable screen on that, your little fill port here, and then the RDA itself. Now currently it has the 2-post in there, that's what comes installed with it. On the RDA cap, that's going to split off into 2 pieces. You've got your airflow and the mouthpiece. Since the mouthpiece has those little bits of metal coming down, you can of course cut your airflow off if you don't want it to be totally wide open. As far as replacing the deck goes, it's really easy with the 2-post. You can just unscrew that a little bit and then unscrew this ring a little bit. These are 2 separate pieces. You can see I'm spinning this ring but not the 2-post. Once we loosen that ring up, we can pull this whole thing off. Now, you can pull the ring completely off of the 2-post. You can see kind of how it moves in the threads there, but it is pretty difficult to rethread, so I would say unless you're planning to do something else with this, just keep the 2-post in that ring there. Here's your positive pin and your little threads there for whatever you want to screw on there. And then to get these back on, I always start with the posts themselves. And then once I get those pretty snug, get a nice tight positive connection on there, I tighten the ring down. To fill the reservoir, you just take off this little cap here, and you've got 12.8 milliliters of space. If you're buying a 15 mil, you're not going to have much left after you fill up this tank. The nice thing though is you're really not going to be filling it up very often. Even with high powered builds, 12.8 mils lasts quite some time. To get to the batteries, you just kind of hold it by the top and bottom there, and then just pull down on the door. That slides right off. Inside you've got this sort of hexagonal 3D cube, I guess, carbon fiber looking stuff. It's basically just a sticker as far as I can tell. And then you do have this little slot on the back here to push out your back battery. It's really easy to take this one off, and then this one you just push out of the back, so it's super easy to get to your batteries. It's a really nice clean battery bay as well. So we can go ahead and stick some batteries in here. We've got negative down and positive down. Those are going to be both of our spring-loaded connections. Make sure those are nice and snug in there. And then to get the door back on, we just slot it onto the bottom there, slide it up, and I kind of pinch the whole thing like that. Get it nice and tight. Now the door is pretty snug on there. It's not magnetic or anything, but it holds itself in place pretty well. So here we are booted up on the device straight away. We're just in power mode at 100 watts. We've got a normal preheat. We don't have any coil on there, so it's reading 0 ohms, 0 voltage, 0 puffs, and about half battery. To get into the menu, it's going to be 3 clicks like a lot of other devices. But then it brings you into this menu. Now you might be able to figure out from just the letters alone, but you've got nickel temp control mode, titanium temp control mode, stainless steel temp control mode, power mode. That is going to be to flip your screen upside down. This is going to be kind of the settings menu. And then we've got the screen settings as well. Obviously temperature, titanium, and stainless steel are going to be the same. So power mode is about as simple as it gets. You got wattage up and wattage down. 3 clicks again. We can go to the right to flip the screen. This is when things get a little bit disorienting. I'm not entirely sure why you would want an upside down screen, but you can certainly do it. 3 clicks again will bring you back there, and luckily you're already there, so you don't have to worry about going left and right and getting confused. You just tap the fire button and you got your right side up screen again. 3 more clicks, and we can get over into the little settings menu here. So this is going to be the preheat settings. We've got normal, which is just going to put out the regular amount of wattage, hard, which is going to give you a bit of a boost at first, soft, which is going to relax the wattage when you first hit the fire button, and user. Now you might guess with user, you can set your own preheat. Each one of these little boxes here represents 0.5 seconds. To change the value by 10%, you can go up or down. If you tap the fire button, that'll bring you to the next one. So remember, each one of these is 0.5 seconds. You can have one a little bit higher, kind of medium, a little bit lower as time goes on. If we come down to exit, we can tap right or left. and that'll get us back to the main menu. Now if we do 3 more clicks for the last time, we can get down to set here. Now this is actually going to be the light settings for the LED within the tank. It's really nice to have that LED because it's not something you're going to be thinking about a lot with your juice level. If you have 12.8 mils in that tank, you're not going to be filling it up very often, so it's nice to have that little light to remind you how much juice you have in there. Beyond that, you've got your puff reset. So you can see I've switched colors on devices here. This is actually my coworker's setup. There are a couple things that I can't show you about this device unless I have an atomizer on there, so I just grabbed his setup so I can show you those guys. To set your resistance when you put a new atomizer on there, or really if you just want to read your resistance, you just hold down and up at the same time, and it'll pop up a little number on the screen. We're reading 0.209. Now on this screen here, if we go to the right, that's going to start changing our wattage. Go ahead and tap the fire button to cancel out, and you can go to the left, and that'll start changing your temperature. So if you want to change your wattage, you press right first, whether you want to go up or down, and then tap the fire button, press left whether you want to go up or down on the temperature. Tap the fire button to stop that flashing, and you're good to go. And since I have this device here, he's had this for a couple of months, I can show you a little bit of the wear that you can kind of expect on these guys. I think this is what that little brush was for. Again, you've got a little bit of gunk building up in those windows there. We've got a couple little paint chips and a little bit of wear on the bottom, but I mean, for a couple of months of wear, this thing is still looking really good, so I'm pretty satisfied with the finish and everything. Anyway, that's about all I've got to show you for the settings, so let's go ahead and bring it up top and see how it vapes. Alright, so on this build here, I believe it's a 22 gauge build. Looks like we've got 6 reps. That's reading about 0.21 ohms. We're at 95 watts and 4.34 volts. And we've got the airflow a little bit closed off. Let's go ahead and give it a shot, see what it does. That's really solid. That's a really good performer. I think that's actually a really nice build for this size box too. Running about 95 watts on a dual battery device, you're going to get some pretty good life out of that. Really good vapor production, of course. It's nice and smooth, it's not too hot. That's actually a really nice build for that 2-post deck. I think that's a really good fit. Now, as I said, my coworker has had this for about 2 months now, and I haven't really heard any complaints about it. It's a really solid device. I haven't seen it leak once. I've seen it sit kind of upside down like this for quite some time. I've never seen it leak. Obviously, that's going to be a little bit sensitive to how you wick it, but it also seems like it's not the most sensitive to wicking like some other RDTAs can be. I've never personally gotten a dry hit off of this, and I haven't heard about anybody getting dry hits, but I suppose if it is starting to get a little dry, maybe your tank is getting a little bit low, you can just kind of tip it like that and it re-wets the cotton. It's super easy. I really love the way that this device is laid out. It is definitely on the bigger side, but I think since you get a 12.8 mil built-in reservoir and a dual battery device, it's kind of fair that it's on the larger side. And even then, it could be bigger. Like, it's really reasonably sized for what it is. I've never thought that this is too big. The menu system is a little bit weird. It's not necessarily weird so much as it is unusual. It's really easy to get through. It makes tons of sense. There aren't too many settings. There aren't a bunch of things that you have to figure out how to do before you can even use the device. There aren't incomprehensible settings that aren't gone over in the manual or anything like that. It's really well laid out. It's really simple. It works perfectly. The only thing that I do find a little bit lackluster on this device is the finish. It's not particularly good looking. There's really just nothing special about it to me. The paint kind of has a little bit of a texture to it, and it's probably not the most durable paint that I've ever seen, but I'm kind of picking nits there. It's really hard to say anything bad about this device. I would say if you really want to get into dripping, or maybe you're already into dripping, this is going to be a really good choice if you also are kind of on the go whenever you're trying to do that. This is about the most portable RDA style device that I've ever seen. Again, I personally never really take my RDAs out in public. I just kind of keep them here at work or maybe at home, use them there. This makes it easy to take it anywhere. And beyond that, I think this is the best device that I've ever seen come from iJoy. The device itself is really solid, the power output is nice, the design is really good, I love the size of the tank. It's just very well rounded. It's a really solid device. I love it. Anyway, that's about going to do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about the device, please feel free to leave a comment. And if you like the video, go ahead and leave me a like. For all the latest and greatest videos from Vaporleaf, be sure to subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye.